So Beth has over 8 years of expertise in delivering cyber threat intelligence solutions and brings a wealth of experience delivering either operational, tactical, and strategic intelligence with data analytics solutions to clients globally in a multitude of sectors. Beth enjoys educating and creating discussions around threat actors and providing insights to the cyber underground. Her role at Flashpoint is to enable partners and educate others around different aspects of cyber threat intelligence. So if you'd be so kind to give her a warm welcome. And Beth.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my talk today. So there's a lot of threats from AI, but today we're going to be looking at this as a cyber perspective from the cyber threat landscape. And just so you know, we're in the cyber threat intelligence talk stream. So I've actually worked in the industry for 8.5 years, and I'm working supporting Flashpoint, but I'm also part of the Women in Cybersecurity group, supporting special interest groups. So I do that again in my spare time. I'm also a Frenchie owner, so if anyone has cute dog pictures that they'd like to share with me afterwards, I'm more than happy to see them as well. So just going over the agenda today, we're going to look at the future of malicious LLMs, so that's large language models. We're going to look at some current malicious LLMs and some mitigations and controls as well. And I just wanted to give a thank you to Christian Rankin, who's one of our strategic advisors who put together the talk topic originally, and the Flashpoint analyst team as well for helping me provide screenshots and use cases for this talk as well. So this is a malicious large language model timeline here. And they're a big market ecosystem. There's multiple different options here. These ones here are not constrained by good or bad. So their whole intended purpose is to do things which are malicious in intent. So we've all probably heard of ChatGPT, utilizing that. Technically, you're not supposed to ask it to write malware. It can't do that for you. But if you're using the prompts, you can get it to do it for you. So the most important thing here is acknowledging the potential risks associated with this generative AI in the hands of cybercriminals. For me, it's going to be very interesting to test and compare when these are at version 3, version 4, how much more they're going to develop and what iterations they're going to add to these to make these more beneficial. But you're probably asking, who are these targeted towards? Who are these using these malicious LLMs? So they are currently posted and advertised on multiple criminal forums and Telegram channels. They're not easily accessible, but still, if you know where you're going, you will find them. They also need to be purchased in cryptocurrency, so you can't go and set up a direct debit for these with your card. You have to be able to transact in crypto. So thinking about them, 3 things. They're not the average thing where you'd go on Google and sign up for this. You do need to know where you're looking and how to pay for these. So thinking about this, do I think these will increase the sophistication of malware? Right now, I don't think they will. I think they're going to likely increase the amount of activity in the fraud world. So it's decreasing the technical barrier of entry for financially motivated cybercriminals. But this business model is going to increase the amount of attacks that we're probably going to observe. As well, AI is such a black box at the moment. Not many of us would predict where we are now with it, and it's been around for such a long time. I recently watched the Ashley Madison documentary on Netflix, and for me it was interesting to see they used AI chatbots to engage users. So when people signed up, they noticed people weren't reaching out to other people, so they used these generative AI chatbots to bring in discussions and increase activity, which then meant people were spending more money. So even companies that are not using it for a malicious intent are using this type of LLMs to earn the money and revenue as well. But look on this screen here, these are all competing businesses. They all have a motivation and innovation to work well and develop them. So if we're looking at this from like a social media perspective, think of TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. Every single one of them wants you to be sat on your phone scrolling through them and primarily them. These malicious LLMs want the same thing. They want your exclusivity to use them, pay for their monthly subscriptions via them as well. So on this screen right now, I've got a phishing email. It's a very poorly worded phishing email. There's grammatical errors, weird capitalizations, cut off sentences. And this is the traditional thing that CTI teams or educational teams are using to educate their users around phishing threats. We've always told them, be careful of this mistake in an email, read it and make sure that the sender's address is legitimate. But with the potential use of LLMs, we've got the example here. The content in this email is absolutely ridiculous, but it's very nicely formatted, it's very clean, there's nice commas, full stops, a nice little signature. This is something that us as educational teams are probably not making users aware of, to be aware of a very well-structured email. But the problem here is with LLMs, it doesn't say this phishing email was conducted by ChatGPT or Dark Gemini. This is something that is written by a human because they're copying and pasting the output into an email. So this is the hard thing about if people are using chatbots to build their campaigns. There's no associated TTP against it. It really is, this is the email, and we've got to do behavioral analysis as CTI teams to identify if this is coming from them. And for me, this is a really well-written scam and not something that we are used to receiving in our mailboxes. If this was a non-native English speaker, the way it's formatted is really beneficial. So I'm now going to go into some examples of malicious chatbots, and the first one we're going to go through today is WormGPT, and this is how they are advertising themselves. So each malicious LLM are basically promoting their top features to get you to sign up to use them. So WormGPT is trained for malware creation and fabrication of BC emails. So their generative prowess. So this can craft convincing phishing emails, malware code, and apparently it's trained off of content from what it's seen from threat actors. There's bypassing safety measures, so it can give you jailbreaks for ChatGPT and Bard. There's enhanced text generation, so it can use natural language text, so English, French, Spanish, Russian, Italian, and Spanish. That there, it can translate from the native language into that language. And it's also got advanced social engineering techniques, so you can leverage this to create campaigns. So this is a prompt. So what we can see here, we've got a business email compromise attack directed to an account manager urgently paying an invoice that needs to appear from a CEO. So think if you were a threat actor utilizing this prompt, you could change account manager to HR, sales, recruitment. So just think about how quickly they can change this just to get a new output without having to put much effort or thought into a campaign like they would have had to before. They could change invoice to contract, document, or benefits, something like that which would make you want to click on it. Appear from a CEO, it could come from a CRO, chief of staff, team lead, all these type of things that what would soon take them probably a few days to put campaigns together will take them minutes, if that. So what's happening here is it's taking away the amount of time for actors need to think about these campaigns to delivering such a speed in this as well. So another thing you can ask it, well, give me an example of malware in Python. This was a screenshot from a threat actor that was promoting the use of this. So we've got to think here, maybe not what does it look like now, because this could be a very average Python script that has been written, but what can it do in the future with these future iterations? Again, you can ask them more prompts. So what are the best features to have in worm malware? So you've now got these 7 features. Then you could go and ask WormGPT, we now know these 7 features. Go and write me a worm malware which is processing all these features to make sure it is a technically impressive malware. So if we think about it again, it's really decreasing the technical barrier of entry. You could be coming in using these subscription fees without any prior knowledge or experience and causing a lot of disruption to multiple organizations. So again, these are businesses, this is them branding themselves. So this is a recent advertisement that they put out. So here's another prompt that you can ask. Give an advanced phishing mail for Instagram account seizures. Instagram's a really popular form of social media. There's influencers earning money and there's a revenue generating stream. There's also lots of shadow bans happening right now and people getting annoyed with accounts. So if you weaponize this campaign to the right user, you could get somebody fall for it and be able to access all their details. So again, this is them showing their capabilities and promoting it on forums. So another advertisement, so this is them posting it in an underground forum. So in the last 90 days, I've observed over 1,000 community mentions about WormGPT, and these community mentions were how to commit a BEC attack, how to purchase the tool, reviews, promotions, and some around news stories. These chatters were mostly in English, but there was also Chinese, Arabic, and Russian communications, so it's not just English, native English-speaking threat actors talking about utilizing and weaponizing this tool. And there's also the different membership options and payment methods they take as well. So another generative LLM is FraudGPT. So this was first advertised in July 2023, and it's said to be trained on different criminal forums on self-promotion. So the generative capability. So it's powered by chatbots, and so it's allowing it to generate human-like responses. We've got phishing scams, so it can do phishing emails, text messages, websites, so tricking users in a multitude of ways. We've got social engineering, so in that the chatbot can mimic human-like conversations. The fraudulent activities, so it can create documents, invoice, payment requests. It's not just making a generic document. And we've also got malware distribution as well, so it can craft phishing lures. So another example here, so this is Canadian Kingpin who runs FraudGPT, so this is them promoting their services. It's given 2 example prompts to write an SMS phishing scam campaign about a bank, and you've got 2 of them done really quickly, really easily, very differently formatted, campaigns ready to go. But as you can see, it says short link. So as a threat actor, well, I don't know how to produce a short link. Just ask the next prompt, right? I now need a short link for my scam pan page. So think again, the speed of which that was delivered. You've asked the prompt for the campaign. You've now got the speed of the malicious link. This is it here. So this is the site that's been built. Obviously, it doesn't look great. Most of us would not fall for this. But think of somebody that's in marketing that was expecting an invoice from this bank. Think of somebody that is expecting something coming from this bank. If they've done the right reconnaissance, they may know you do bank with XYZ Bank, and that's why it's going to be more susceptible to the human responses of this campaign. Yeah, they probably need to pull out an Adobe license or maybe even a Paint license to make this look more relevant. But again, this campaign has been built so quickly. So if we break this down, we look at the intent of the actor. Their intent is to create a malicious campaign. Their capability is utilizing these LLMs to build that campaign for them because they may not have the prior experience or knowledge themselves. Opportunities, so this could be, they've identified credential dumps on paste sites, dark websites. They may have also want to sell this type of access to a ransomware operator or affiliate group. And then we're going into the threat, right? So the threat is the actor has gained personal access or details of an organization. So if the capability is raised, it means the threat level is going to raise. So the more that these LLMs become more intuitive and better to use, the higher the threat is for organizations. But a lot of people will dismiss leaked credentials, but for me, so many of these attacks are happening around credential leaks, data exposure. Yes, you may have 2-factor authentication in place, password policies in place, but if an LLM is capable of creating an info stealer malware targeted campaign, which has then got your cookie sessions, someone then goes and sells these on a Russian market or Too Easy for $10 to $15, and then they're purchased, your cookie session policies are not correct, or that access has got elevated access, someone now has access to your organization for $15. This could be bought by a ransomware group, this could be bought by a non-malicious actor, but this is a way of bypassing all your security measures just to cause a threat. You've also got the emotional aspect of this. In the reconnaissance, they may have identified that one of the execs loves Taylor Swift or Man United, and they see in their password it's I heart Taylor Swift 123 or I heart Man U. This is then them building a campaign saying, as a trusted partner of your organization, please sign up these details to receive a ticket to the next tour or game. So you've got to think, even if you've got these policies in place, they can take the password, build a campaign around it. They could then do the technical way of it, of purchasing it and selling it to an info stealer. There's so many different ways that this could be done and utilized for threat actors. Going into Fraud GPT a bit more, so this one only costs $90 a month. So I think for me, the upfront cost, this is such an easy return on investment for threat actors if they're selling it as an initial access broker. So an initial access broker, if you know the show Bargain Hunt, they are auctioning items for a price and people can put their little panels up and bid. That's exactly what initial access brokers do with organizations' access. So they have a start price. Every time you're commenting, you're putting up your panel like Bargain Hunt, or you can be, if you're dedicated, you can pay the buy now price and pay that little bit more and you've got that access. So if you're an initial access broker, some of these attacks are starting at $200 on forums. If you've sold one of your accesses for $200, you've got your return on investment just from 1 month of Fraud GPT right there. So it's just showing how capable it's enabling people to be with not much experience. So another LLM is Wolf GPT. So this one is supposed to be a Python alternative to ChatGPT, but with the intention of being malicious. It's also advertising complete confidentiality. So one big thing we know right now with forums is the recent law enforcement seizures and takedowns. So confidentiality for threat actors is really important because of their security operations is what's keeping them in business. It'll be interesting to see if anybody tries to exploit this claim of complete confidentiality, because threat actors do like to show each other up. So someone might say or exploit this platform just to prove a point. It's got malware creation as well, so phishing campaigns, phishing laws. But one of the coolest things for me is the broad range of malicious features. And I'm going to read this out because there's a lot. So there's botnets, remote access Trojans, keyloggers, info stealers, crypto stealers, POS malware, and ATM malware. So that list is so long, and if you think about it, it can do so much from just a few prompts. Again, decreasing the technical barrier of entry for newbies or somebody that cannot be bothered creating a campaign can utilize their understanding and weaponize this kind of LLM. Again, here's just an example of what Wolf GPT looks like if you're interested in the interface. So going on to XXX GPT. So XXX GPT can be utilized for cyber attacks. It can deploy sophisticated attacks, network systems or applications, data manipulation, so it can alter or corrupt data without detection. And one thing that's really scary is misinformation, so generating fake or misleading news. So for me, thinking about this is right now in a world of misinformation is very scary, and thinking that an LLM is branding and advertising itself as this, as opposed to being malicious intent like the others, this one may be more of concern. Because when we're reading something that is misinformation, we don't know that it is misinformation. So this is really important for CTI teams to be taking and harvesting this knowledge to identify when misinformation campaigns are being sent out and utilized. Again, think of the wars, the presidential elections, prime minister elections. If people are utilizing this to then create protests, stuff like this, it's so scary to think this can all be generated from an LLM for a monthly subscription and a fee. Going into Evil GPT, so this one's an interesting one because it has a playful personality, so it's trying to be engaging and a unique chat experience. The scary thing about this one, it has a $10 price tag for the month. So that means that it is incredibly cheap for ROI. If you sell that access for $20, you've made $10 profit. Unlimited character support. So this one's crazy that it can create text of any length. So you wanted an invoice, a legal contract, something like that. It's not limited by the amount of characters. It could create any kind of document. It's also got chat memory retention. So what does that mean? It can generate more natural and coherent responses because it's not wiping and remembering each time. And also the ability to create phishing emails and BEC attacks. And this is the advertisement for Evil GPT here. Again, it's also saying, do you want a powerful alternative to Worm GPT? So it's really trying to dismiss the competition and say, well, why do you not try us? We're only $10 a month. Going into another example, this is Dark Gemini, and this is one was observed in March 2024 in a private Telegram channel. And this prompt that I put on the screen here is somebody asking it about ways that generative AI could be utilized to build a malicious campaign for fraud activities. So if you take this information here as somebody that has never weaponized or built a campaign, they can literally utilize this prompt to maybe create their next 8, 9 campaigns from this hints and generation text here. So as a CTI analyst, we need to be taking what these large language models are assisting and building it into our tactics, techniques, and procedures so we have the right defense strategies. Again, Dark Gemini's prompt. So this one is, can you create a phishing lure? Look at the bottom here. They've added tips. So if you were new, it's even giving you advice on how to create this campaign and build this campaign, even with a little hint. So it's enabling you with the content you need to send and then also the tips there as well. There's also here, we've got show me a malware example in Python. So again, this example here is opening a terminal to run commands. It might not be the most advanced malware script in Python, but it's still something that if somebody had no experience, they've still got this as opposed to nothing. So I wanted to take a time and map the AI-generated campaign to the Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain. So if we look at the reconnaissance to delivery stage, how much quicker that is by utilizing an LLM and taking off a lot of manual workload, because the reconnaissance stage, that would normally be someone scouting social media sites, employee sites, looking at any leaked credentials on the dark web. All of this could be done by utilizing their advertisements and collections to weaponize and build your campaign. You've also got the delivery of the attack. So this could be a mass campaign through multiple employees, or it might be a spear phishing campaign to target an individual employee. The exploitation as well, so this means that they're going to exploit the intended victim that it's supposed to go to, and then the installation, command and control, that will be dependent on the malware that's utilized or phishing lure. But the whole action objectives for a campaign here is to be paid, right? These threat actors are maybe doing it for a bit of fun, but the ideal goal for them is to extort a victim for money. So with this here, will they be selling it to a ransomware group? With the Conti leaks, we observed that they had a HR department, they had a recruitment department and team leads. Do you think that maybe they will be picked up in recruitment if every single credential that they're harvesting is relevant for a ransomware group, so it's saving them time for doing the first few 2 stages or 3 stages of the kill chain by using this access broker / LLM user as opposed to weaponizing it and building it themselves? There's also the way that they might be selling it on marketplaces or just taking the access themselves and utilizing the stolen card details. There's so many different ways that a threat actor can be paid and use this for their campaign. So going into some mitigations now, targeting users' education for awareness. So everyone probably does the monthly, quarterly phishing campaigns, and for me, I think they are beneficial, but we need to think, sometimes we're guilt-tripping users or thinking, wow, we really built that difficult campaign. But what we need to be doing is maybe taking little videos of the campaigns that are coming in and doing voiceovers so users can learn about the type of attacks that we're seeing in the threat landscape and what can happen if they do click on it, where this information goes and what can happen next. Because users don't know what they don't know, right? They probably are reading BBC News articles if they're not interested in the industry, learning about this but not really having an understanding or a clear vision on it. So for me, I think it'd be really enticing to utilize your internal pages to promote snippets or pictures of phishing emails that you're actively receiving and getting, because they might think, oh, I did see that one and I just binned it, instead of reporting it to the team through our forwarding or phishing button as well. So taking that information and educating the users on it, as opposed to building this ridiculous campaign that someone clicked on because they thought they were getting an extra 5 days holiday, is so important. Staying up to date on activity and releases. Lots of people build RSS feeds. There's so many out there that have been pre-populated. just utilizing that and having your morning coffee and reading what's going on is really good, just to know what's happening and learn about it. Industry, law enforcement collaboration and trust groups. These threat actors are collaborating all the time. So why aren't we? So it's really important that if you're a retailer that's getting a campaign, going and asking your contacts in the aviation sector or the banking sector, have you seen this? Or have you received this type of lure? They would say yes or maybe no, and then you can then ask your retailers or ISACs like, yeah, okay, then maybe this is something that is only targeting our industry and taking that away. Behavioral analysis, this one's really important because, like I said, there's no TTPs associated if a threat actor's built a campaign from an LLM. So what you're going to have to do is sit there as a CTI team and do like a round table. So you take of some of the examples that you got that month and think, oh, okay, this one is potentially not written by an LLM because the grammatical errors are so obvious, or this one, so one of the examples we saw was a campaign that came in and every single line of code was commented. I don't know about you, but when I've coded, I've done the first 5 lines and then skipped a few and written a few. So I'm either a really bad coder or this is potentially written by an LLM because they've gone and added that extra detail to maybe educate their users. So there's just stuff like this that we can take away them tiny snippets, build them together, start reporting and sharing this information to see if LLMs are being utilized. We've got typo squatting and domain monitoring. If you're not getting them first, the threat actors will. They're probably not as important as some of the other things because of you can just hyperlink over the text and edit it to make it look like that. But tricking a user who's not reading and maybe scanning their emails, it's so important to just get the typo squats and domains under you so that no one else can abuse them. Having the right email verification and security in place is also important, as it's just that extra barrier of defense. And yeah, so that is me, and thank you very much everyone for listening to my talk.